time-traveling soul creates China's basketball GOAT. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 71. Fragmented. The referee threw the ball, and the home fans saw that Wang Zhelin was at a rare disadvantage in the jump ball. However, considering that the other party was Howard, nicknamed Superman, he was relieved. Faced with the inadequacy of their own children, parents can always find reasons to forgive him. At the beginning of the game, Kobe showed his explosive scoring instinct as the league's first shooting guard. Facing French Pippin's rough defense, he just carried the opponent and forced a shot to hit a two-pointer, which almost caused the former to foul. Shrimp and pork heart at the beginning. Fuck. Wang Zhelin took a deep breath. This Nima dared to vote, how could he enter? Really, one person defends like air. As the best player in the Blazers' perimeter defense, Batum's outer defense reached the league's first-class level of 83. In this game, Coach Terry was naturally appointed to defend Kobe. If you really let Basius, who is 1.93 meters, go to the defense, you don't have to think about it, you will be blasted into a sieve by Kobe. Unexpectedly, Coach Terry was suffocated by Mamba's venom at the beginning of the game. Easily, the Lakers started with a 2-0 lead. After the Blazers passed, facing the young and strong Lillard, Nash struggled on the defensive end. After Wang Zhelin stepped forward to cover, Lillard quickly circled to the left and cut in. The Lakers hurriedly shrank the lineup, and Aldridge was exposed. With Deja and Nash surrounded on both sides, Lillard successfully passed the ball to Aldridge, who was 2 points long on the right at the moment of taking off. Lillard memorized all of his eldest's favorite shooting spots. Catch, aim, soft release. The muscle memory formed over the years made Aldridge's series of actions look like a ruthless machine that strictly followed instructions. The basketball accurately flew into the basket under the attention of everyone in the audience. 2:2. After the goal, Aldridge suddenly glanced at Kobe, as if sending a message. This is my horse. We saw a wonderful duel between the team leaders at the beginning, and LaMarcus gradually learned how to be a good leader. The home announcer shouted excitedly. Although the two are not players in the same position, this does not prevent them from hitting each other from the air. It's a pity that the home fans didn't seem to buy the face of the team leader, and there was a brief burst of applause in the arena. Kobe smiled and did not respond, and silently took his place in the front court. As a well-known master of court control in the NBA, Nash controlled the rhythm unhurriedly, hoping to find flaws in the opponent's defensive line. After passing the ball a few times, Kobe successfully ran out of the gap and hit a three-pointer in the bottom corner. After the Lakers formed F4, the changes in the inside line have not yet been seen, but the changes in the outside line are extremely obvious. In particular, Kobe, the core of the team, has consciously changed his style of play and began to add a lot of off-ball movement and empty cuts to the basket. Facts have also proved that Kobe can really play without the ball. He eats the right to shoot instead of the right to hold the ball. And after playing with Nash, Kobe Bryant's offensive efficiency in off-ball mode is outrageous. After the first quarter, the two sides tied at 30:26. The Lakers played well. Kobe Bryant made 2 of 3, Howard made 2 of 4, Deja made 3 of 5, and Nash made 1 of 1. All four of them showed their personal abilities at a glance, and their efficiency was also very high. But the Pioneers are the leading side. This is amazing. Although the boss Aldridge scored 12 points in a single quarter, Wang Zhelin always felt that the opponent played very strangely. A dignified NBA-level team, but also a top-level team aiming to win the championship, actually did not show a few cooperation in a quarter. It is all relying on the stars to carry crazy far. After the start of the second quarter, after the two sides changed into rotations, the Lakers' performance worsened. You must know that on their bench, there is Jamison, who has averaged more than 20-plus points per game for many seasons in his career, has been selected to the All-Star bench twice, and scored 17 points last season. Super sixth man, and then plus Judy Meeks, the 76ers' main force last season. But even so, he still launched a very lame attack. If the Lakers could still rely on F4's personal ability to cover up the lack of training and tactics in the first quarter, then in the second quarter, the lineup's individual struggles and frequent mistakes made the Blazers' coaching staff speechless. I worked my own. The opponent is actually this. Out of desperation, at 7:21 in the second quarter, Mike Brown hurriedly returned a timeout and prepared to replace the main force again. At this time, the battle between the two sides became 47:33, and the Blazers led by 14 points. Wang, is the team in front of us really a championship favorite? Aldridge, who scored a game-high 17 points and 3 rebounds, had incredible written on his face. This is the favorite to win this year. I don't know either, Damien, how about you? Wang Zhelin shook his head, his eyes full of surprise. In my impression, Although the Lakers performed very crotch at the beginning of the season, he really did not expect to be so bad. Moreover, Wang Zhelin clearly saw in the system that Howard's internal defense attribute is as high as 95, and his block is also 92, but he always feels that the ability displayed by the other party can reach 80. But it is impossible for the system to make mistakes, otherwise, where would he come from with this ability? Then, there is only one possibility: Howard has changed. He no longer wants to do the hard work of defending, but instead wants to use offense to prove himself. Looking at the top centers in the league before Howard, which one is not the offensive power table, it is basically the team's offensive axis. Howard may be thinking about aligning with his seniors, at least to prove to the big shark who never wanted to see him, that he is not incapable of attacking, but that his previous defensive ability was too strong to cover up his offensive talent. Ah, what did you ask just now? Well, Lee and this kid were all scared and short-circuited by the performance of the Lakers. It was tentatively scheduled to come back to play for 2 minutes, and the Lakers ushered in a blow. Steve Nash, the team's starting point guard and one of the F4 players, hit his knee in a backup defense and collapsed on the spot on the Rose Garden court, rolling around in pain. How seemingly endless rain. This is only the second game of the new season and one of the main starting players is injured. Coupled with the fact that it is not appropriate to play more after returning from surgery, Lakers coach Mike Brown is completely stunned. How can this be done? Without Nash, the only perimeter coordination that the Lakers can see is completely gone, and the entire team is in a state of anxiety. Fortunately, Kobe stood up in time and forcibly scored 11 points with a lot of singles, which was able to stabilize the Lakers' situation. At the end of the game, the two sides played at 51-43, and the Lakers entered the second half behind by 8 points. At halftime, everyone in the Lakers' locker room was silent, waiting for Steve Nash's injury report. Finally, the accompanying doctor came out. Kobe hurriedly stood up and asked, "Gary, how is Steve's injury? Will it affect the next game?" As of now, no major problems have been found, but for the sake of insurance, Nash can't play this game anymore. After all, he is a nearly 40-year-old veteran, and he will have to wait for an MRI tomorrow to get accurate results. Gary Weedy, a veteran team doctor who has served the Lakers for more than 20 years, has a high reputation in the team. He was the first to detect the HIV virus on Magic Johnson back then. Therefore, Gary Weedy's words were very heavy, and even Kobe had to think carefully. Well, I see, let Steve have a good rest. When Gary Weedy was gone, everyone could vaguely feel the temperature in the entire locker room dropping. And the source of all this is the Black Mamba sitting in his seat without saying a word. Episode 72. When you are old, others will block young. After the start of the second half, Howard scored 11 points and 6 rebounds in the third quarter despite his back injury. Kobe Bryant also shot frantically to see 15 points, with a momentum of taking the victory into account. But despite this, the Lakers have not been able to resist the crazy offensive wave of the Blazers. The bizarre performance of the Lakers in the first half convinced all the Blazers that the Lakers in front of them had neither tactics nor defense. Therefore, Aldridge led the rotation with more confidence, and the Lakers' morale gradually became discouraged as the point difference gradually expanded. At the beginning of the last quarter, Jamison, who was in the Lakers' rotation, suddenly broke out with astonishing fighting power, leading the bench players to an 8-0 climax. Lakers 73-85 Trailblazers. Seeing that the score was about to be forced to within 10 points, Coach Terry quickly brought Wang Zhelin and Lillard back on the court. From the start to the present, Aldridge has played for nearly 40 minutes and scored a team-high 25 points. His physical strength has begun to be somewhat insufficient, and his offensive efficiency has declined. At present, the Blazers still lead the Lakers by 12 points. The coach here believes that Wang Zhelin and Lillard will not disappoint the team. The Lakers also changed the lineup to Howard, Jackson, C.I. Shiping, Kobe, and Stephen Blake. Now there are more than 7 minutes before the end of the game, and they still have a chance to fight. Damian, we can all get this wave of counterattacks from the Lakers, countless flowers, applause, and fame. How about it, do you have confidence? After resting for more than half a quarter, Wang Zhelin and Lillard immediately stood up and took off their sweat-soaked warm jackets. What do you say? Lillard smiled back. The two gave an excited high-five, and all the cameras captured this scene on the Blazers bench. Wow, our 12-year-old Gemini is here again. Damian has 17 points, 6 assists and 1 steal, and King has 13 points and 8 rebounds. Looking forward to their next performance. The commentator on the sidelines became more and more energetic, attracting everyone's attention to the young pair. It's just a hairy boy, let's see if I won't blow him up for a while. When Howard saw this scene, he pouted in disdain. He currently has a team-high 23 points and 10 rebounds, and has firmly suppressed Wang Zhelin in both scoring and rebounding. Okay, seize the last time, we still have hope to overtake. Hearing Kobe's words, the other three didn't react at all. Only Howard was a little impatient, but quickly hit it. He can ignore Nash, but not Kobe. Even now, Howard still remembers the bloodthirsty he showed when he played against the Kobe-led Lakers in the finals that year. Back from the timeout, the Trailblazers have the ball. Now that Aldridge is resting off the court, the team's offense falls to the two rookies, and the fans begin to shout the names of Wang Zhelin and Lillard. Wang Zhelin came to a high position on a business trip to Lillard, and Hickson inside also quickly ran out of the 3-second zone, freeing up room for breakthroughs. Blake was caught on the other end by Wang Zhelin's high-quality pick-and-roll, and Lillard made a three-pointer without hesitation. Howard, who was behind Wang Zhelin, failed to make up for the defense and was hit by a three-pointer by Lillard. 88:73. This is Lillard's best and favorite scoring method during his college days. Remembering the 246 most three-pointers in Weber State's history, he witnessed how terrible his pick-and-roll three-pointer was. Just by defending this round of the Lakers, the Blazers have the opportunity to widen the point difference again. Be careful. Seeing that the score was pulled away again, Howard couldn't help roaring from Blake. I know. The sudden reprimand of the team's fourth boss made Blake at a loss, so he could only lower his head and admit his mistake. Seemingly satisfied with his behavior of showing the boss's demeanor, Howard turned around and left with a bright smile. At this time, Howard was still an uncompromisingly happy beast, and he had not yet encountered the baptism of another 4 o'clock in the morning boss. After arriving in the front court, Blake passed the basketball to Howard, originally just wanting Howard to make a transition and then complete the off-ball movement tactics. But who would have thought that Howard actually faced Wang Zhelin in a post-up single? Don't look at Howard has already scored more than 20 points, but he has not taken the initiative to score a few times with the ball. More than 80% of the points are either by cutting inside to receive a pass from a teammate, or by scoring a second rebound and tipping himself. Are you going to me with the ball? Wang Zhelin was a little surprised, and instantly became extremely excited. As for Mr. was 63-point fight, don't make trouble. When Howard and Wang Zhelin made physical contact, the camera under the backboard suddenly found that only the latter was left in their sight. What about our Mr. Superman? I was completely covered by Wang Zhelin. Really speaking, Howard's 211 centimeters height in shoes is still not outstanding enough for the center position. As a basketball commentator said, Howard is just the lucky one born in the right age, and his actual ability is not as great as the data shows. Howard's physique can be used as a center forward in this age when the big man is withering. Compared with Wang Zhelin's heavy-duty center with bare feet of 216 centimeters and shoes of 220 centimeters, the shortcomings appear all at once. Shit. Why is this yellow-skinned boy so similar to that big fat man? I still don't believe it, can he really have that guy's power? Howard continued to beat Wang Zhelin with all his might, but found that the latter remained motionless. At this time, Kobe had already run out of position to signal to pass the ball. When Howard was about to pass the ball, a mocking voice suddenly came from behind him. Mr. Superman, is your strength only at this level? Wang Zhelin's ridicule caused Howard's displeasure. How dare he make fun of me, this damned Chinese boy. It is also passed on to Nima. Filled with anger, Howard burst out with even more fierce power, and he just took another step inside after reaching the 3-second zone. He turned around and took off, with only the basket in his eyes. See if I don't detain you all over the floor. Spark didn't hide the contempt on his face at this time. He didn't think a mere Asian center could stop him. But just as he smashed the ball down with both hands, a black spot suddenly appeared in Howard's field of vision, and it quickly became bigger and bigger. This is a hand? It is the hand of the pioneer number 36. Wang Zhelin, who has McGee's running and jumping talent, has already led most of the league centers in terms of dynamic physical talent. Although it is not comparable to Howard's top running and jumping ability, don't forget, Wang Zhelin's height is 5 centimeters taller than Howard's, with a wingspan. It is 6 centimeters longer. This height? Impossible. As the yellow-skinned slap got closer and closer, Howard suddenly opened his eyes, and his color changed instantly. Under Howard's unbelievable gaze, Wang Zhelin's right hand finally touched the rapidly descending basketball. Snapped. The heavy fan flew out of bounds. Does this cover it? His own rookie really gave the league's number 1 center a big hot pot. Ah ah ah. Ah ah ah. Ah ah ah. The home fans were suffocated at first, followed by overwhelming cheers, and the audience instantly boiled over. Mr. Superman seems to be getting old. Since he's old, go home and wait for don't block young people from taking up the position. Seeing Howard's astonished expression, Wang Zhelin chewed on his braces, and a very mocking voice echoed in the former's ears again. TMD, I'm only 27, you actually call me old? I am angry. I am really angry. Episode 72, the Lakers aren't that scary. It was time for Deja to send the sideline ball again. This time, he ignored Howard's face and sent the ball to Kobe. The offensive time left for the Lakers was only 4 seconds, but it was still enough for Kobe. This kind of pot throwing has long been used to. Hold the ball quickly in disguise, make emergency stops, and make jump shots. Boom. Of course, I'm used to hammering. After all, Kobe was a man, not a god, so it was impossible to score every buzzer beater. This time, Wang Zhelin reacted very quickly. He protected the rebound, took him into his arms and observed the position of the enemy, and then handed over to Lillard. Lillard dribbled the ball with one hand and moved the ball with the other. Now the Blazers don't need to rush at all, they just need to make sure the hit rate. Matthews got an open opportunity in the bottom corner. Lillard quickly passed the ball, and when the latter was about to make a shot, the beast of C.I. Shiping had already pounced. The opportunity has quietly passed away. Ball. A familiar voice came from inside. Matthews smiled and hoisted the ball into the penalty area. After receiving the ball, Wang Zhelin did not hesitate in the slightest. He relied on Howard to make a beautiful little spinning top, turned and slid directly to the bottom line. After arriving at the basket, Wang Zhelin raised his hand to hook, and Howard jumped up excitedly behind him. He wanted to return a block. It's a pity that it was just a fake move, and Howard flinched. When he was about to make a shot, Wang Zhelin suddenly retracted the right hand of the basketball that was holding up high, then turned in the opposite direction, hooked his hand, and hit the board. 18 points difference. Haha, King's footsteps at the basket are very similar to his predecessor Yao. The basic skills of big men in China are always so impressive. The home announcer looked at Wang Zhelin's series of smooth movements, and then compared to Howard's lame play in the previous round, he couldn't help laughing. What to watch, do you want to learn? Go in a dream, there is everything in your dream. Facing Howard's expression of wanting to swallow himself, Wang Zhelin made a classic gesture of spreading his hands. In the next round, Howard once again asked for the ball to single against Wang Zhelin. This time, his position is very deep. After receiving the ball, he doesn't need to do any ball-holding action, he just jumps on the spot. I have to say that despite the sadness, Howard's physical fitness is still quite impressive. This attack caught Wang Zhelin by surprise, and the latter slapped him with a slap in the face. Achievement of the first background board achievement in my career. Wang Skinboy, why don't you shout, where did your confidence just now go? Finally, Wang Zhelin was buckled from the front. Howard was unstoppably excited, and after landing, he pulled his clothes and roared. Come on, who can't stand and buckle? This kind of trick with no technical content can be used to show off. It really makes me feel sad for you. Howard originally thought that his opponent would feel embarrassed and angry, and his expression would change more or less no matter how bad it was, but he didn't expect to receive such a flat response. Especially when he saw the trace of pity on Wang Zhelin's face, Howard was like a cat whose tail was stepped on, with blue veins bursting out on his dark face. The game between the two teams continued, but there were only 3.5 minutes left in the final quarter. Kobe couldn't sit still anymore, he directly turned on the familiar sack mode, no longer cared about his wife's request for the ball. In the last time, he shot 7 times and hit 4 times, +2+2+1, hard to get 10 points. But unfortunately, the Lakers still cannot escape the fate of defeat. 103:89. The Lakers start the new season with a 2-game losing streak. Before the game, the Galaxy battleship, which boasted a 20-point victory over the Blazers, was defeated by 14 points. Is this still the Lakers? Why can't I just win? After the game, Kobe stood blankly on the field and looked at the scoreboard above, full of confusion about the future. Hey old guy, why are you still standing there? Are you waiting for me to sign your autograph? A voice came from behind him. Kobe looked back and saw Wang Zhelin, who had taken off his shirt. If you don't mind, can you sign for me? How can I say that I am also one of the 6 billion Komi? After Kobe took the jersey and pen, he lowered his head and asked casually, why do you say once and now? Now I'm in the same arena with you, and I'm your enemy. Wang Zhelin looked at Kobe and spoke his heart without any burden. Really, then you have to win 5 championships before saying this to me. Kobe opened his right palm to face Wang Zhelin and said expressionlessly. There will be that day, but before that, I hope you will keep your old legs from rusting. I will wait for you in the playoffs. After taking the jersey and pen and hugging Kobe, Wang Zhelin glanced thoughtfully at Kobe's right calf Achilles tendon. Bastard, I'm not old yet. Kobe didn't take it to heart, and after a few chats, the two parted ways. The biggest contributor to the Blazers in this game is undoubtedly the team boss Aldridge. In this game, Ade played 37.6 minutes, made 11 of 20 shots, plus 3 of 3 free throws, and scored a team-high 25 points and 6 rebounds. Lillard scored 21 points and 9 assists in 40 minutes. Then there was Wang Zhelin, who played 31 minutes and scored 18 points, 11 rebounds and 2 blocks. As the opponent's Lakers, Kobe played 38 minutes, made 10 of 22 shots, 7 of 6 free throws, and scored 30 points. Howard played 41 minutes and scored 25 points, 14 rebounds and 3 blocks on 9 of 17 shots and 7 of 13 free throws. In terms of shooting percentage alone, in fact, the Lakers' overall shooting percentage in this game was 51%, and the Blazers' shooting percentage was 49.3%. But why still can't win the ball? First, the Stars fought on their own, and basically did not play a few decent matches. The team's lack of running in naturally led to a huge increase in mistakes. The Lakers made 24 overall turnovers in this game, and you had 9 more than the 15 of the opponent Blazers. Second, because of Nash's sudden injury, the team was in chaos and morale was suppressed. In the end, the entire team failed to form an effective defensive system, allowing the Blazers to get as many as 11 fast-break counterattacks. This season's Lakers can be described as much anticipated, all the focus is on them, and their every move will become the object of repeated research by the American media. The big city has its advantages, and naturally it also has its disadvantages. He can make a player get more exposure and have a faster way to become a star, but he can also directly destroy a high-ranking star with unlimited potential. Lose. Now that he has received such a huge amount of attention, he naturally has to bear the backlash it brings. The 8-game losing streak in the preseason can also be understood as a run-in of the lineup, but now the 2-game losing streak at the beginning of the regular season has completely broken the invincibility of the Lakers when they first formed the Galaxy battleship. Counting today's failure, the Lakers can be said to have experienced a wave of kneeling for 10 consecutive times. Now they can no longer use other reasons to prevaricate the media and fans. At the same time, this also allowed the management and coaching staff of the other 29 teams in the league to see the Lakers' weakness. Combined with the Lakers' experience in setting up an F4 at the beginning of the century. All other strong teams aiming to win the championship began to analyze the shortcomings of the Los Angeles people. Everything that is unknown is what human beings are always most afraid of. When the mystery of the Lakers at the beginning of the season was pierced, everyone saw that the simple and rude accumulation of stars did not necessarily bring success. The Lakers are far less terrifying than they seem on the surface. After this battle, the compliments from the major media instantly turned into aggressive blades. It is said that the New York Times is notorious for its enemy and loneliness, and even its own people do it for the sake of traffic. But the Los Angeles Times is also not much better. The world is as dark as a crow. 2-game losing streak at the start. This is not the purple and gold army we are familiar with. Los Angeles Times, the same F4. The same failure? ESPN, Kobe plus Howard plus Nash plus Pau Gasol equals a win is hard to come by? My God, this is so bad. Lakers over, LA faces no more. The New York Times. The New York Times' phrase, "I don't want your face," is very similar to the Boston Tea. Episode 73, King in the Atmosphere. Under the pressure of the sky, the Lakers played against the Clippers in the same city at home on November 3rd. The little brother, who used to look down on him, has turned from a small broken ship into a city of empty connections since he took the helm of the captain, Chris Paul, last season. Now the Clippers, with Paul, Griffin, and Jordan as the core, are no longer under Amon, and last season they broke into the 5th place in the Western Conference. This season, there seems to be a problem with Big Brother. For the first time, the Clippers saw a great opportunity to usurp power. For both sides, this game is of great significance. Unfortunately, without Steve Nash's Lakers, the offense has no rules. Kobe Bryant played very hard, but he couldn't connect the team. Let's look at the Clippers again. With Captain Paul's 15 assists in series, the team has 5 points in double figures. The rotation core Koulibaly loop was even more hilarious. He scored a team-high 21 points, plus 3 rebounds, 3 steals and 1 assist. It can be said that he single-handedly defeated the Lakers with a significantly thicker bench. In this game, Kobe played 43 minutes, 14 of 23 three-pointers, 2 of 2 free throws, 10 of 10 free throws, and scored 40 points with a 60% hit rate comparable to the top insiders, but he still failed to recover. Downturn. The Lakers lost 3 straight. This time, what the Lakers face is no longer yin and yang, but direct, undisguised, naked ridicule. The major mainstream media have launched special programs of similar nature one after another, and the titles are also very heart-wrenching. When will the Lakers have a win this season? None of this has much to do with the Blazers. Everyone ate melons all night, and they were full for a while. Tomorrow night, the team will go to Sacramento to challenge the Pacific Kings. When it comes to the King, one has to admire the brain circuits of the management. Originally, a fairy-level rookie Tyreke Evans was selected in the 2009 draft, and he could score an average of 20 plus 5 per game when he debuted, which is not inferior to the Little Emperor James who just debuted in 2003. Moreover, Evans's style of play and characteristics have also earned him the nickname of Point Guard James. The physical fitness is great, the style of play is arrogant, the impact is strong, the confidence is full, the passing is first class, the young and old. Coupled with the height of 198, it is a proper bug to be placed in the number 1 position. Anyone with a discerning eye knows that the Kings have taken a super luck and directly selected a team-building cornerstone. The next thing they have to do is to use Evans as the core to create a competitive lineup and the road to revival. Just around the corner. However, the management of the King, who thought he was in the atmosphere, did some inexplicable tricks. What kind of brain circuit would make a 4th rookie in NBA history play a supernova with an average of 20 plus 5 per game in his rookie season, and then go to play shooting guard in his 2nd year? In the 3rd year, it was even more outrageous, swaying directly to the position of small forward. The Kings' miraculous operation personally destroyed a super genius who was not inferior to Big O, Jordan, and LeBron. No matter which team in the league is facing the leading point guard, Evans in his rookie year can play as good as the opponent, and even outperform most of the time. The most impressive thing is that when he played against college senior Derrick Rose for the first time, Evans easily handed over a transcript of 20 points and 4 rebounds, while the opponent Rose was 2 of 12 and relied on free throws. Scored in double digits. Different from the 2003 number 2 Malisic, 07 number 1 pick Odin and others who have been regretting in the hearts of fans, Evans has already played and proved his dominance over the number 1 position in the 1st year. It is now the 4th year of Evans' career. Although he still averaged 16.5 plus 4.6 rebounds plus 4.5 assists plus 1.3 steals per game last season, everyone knows that this talented man has completely lost with all the spirituality in the past. The previously unknown upper limit has been severely slashed. At that time, the new core of the Kings was cousin DeMarcus Cousins, who was selected 5th overall in the 2010 draft. In the original history, the famous test god, after Howard abdicated due to injury, became the new top center of the league with his explosive performance. Last season, Cousins averaged 18 points and 11 rebounds per game in 30 minutes of playing time. Whether it is scoring rebounds or shooting percentages, all aspects of the data have increased compared to his rookie year. Only the performance of 4 fouls per game remained unchanged. Cousins is now also known as the top seed of the new generation of centers, and Wang Zhelin scored 18 plus 11 in the first game of his career. It's a bit of a coincidence to match the former's average per game last season. After the Trailblazers gave the Lakers a 2-game losing streak, Wang Zhelin, the starting center, could still contribute around 18 plus 11 when he played against Howard, the league's top center. This kind of performance made many people talk about it. Although Wang Zhelin was also very popular before, but more because of his identity as a player of the Celestial Dynasty, but now it is different from the past. This time, he has been recognized by his own strength. Before the game between the Kings and the Trailblazers was also known as the duel between the new generation of potential centers. Cousins is undoubtedly the strongest competitor for Wang Zhelin to become the top center in the league. For this battle, he has been preparing. But when he came to the Sleep Train Arena, the home of the Kings, he suddenly discovered that he could actually ignore Cousins at all. Because people can't play at all, Cousins' indefinite suspension is not over yet. This has to be traced back to a game in the preseason. Cousins had a farce due to friction with the team's coaching staff, which led to the former being directly suspended by the Kings indefinitely. However, everyone knows that the so-called indefinite ban is just talk. When Cousins, the big-headed doll, publicly apologizes, the King can announce the lifting of the ban. During the warm-up period, looking at Cousins in a suit and leather shoes, sitting at the end of the bench, Wang Zhelin shook his head a little shyly. Cousins' physical talent and interior skills are unique among rookie centers in recent years. Although sometimes I can't control my mind, but as there are fewer and fewer traditional centers in the league now, there are already some inconsistencies. The appearance of Cousins is undoubtedly a shot in the arm for the traditional centers. It's a pity that this guy's skills are a bit too good. In his previous life, he could play steadily in the interior as a crab, but he liked to play the guard style and always dribbled the ball to break through from the outside. With his tonnage and size, It's no wonder that this style of play doesn't hurt. At 8 p.m. on the 4th, the game between the Blazers and the Kings officially started. The opponent was originally a rebuilding team, but the core of the team was still a giant baby, and half of the team's martial arts was successfully discarded. The result can be imagined. The Kings were hanged and beaten the whole time, and there was no room for them to fight back. In this game, Lillard felt hot and shot 7 of 10 from the field, including 5 of 6 three-pointers and 3 of 4 free throws, scoring a team-high 22 points. Ade's performance was average today, scoring 16 points with 6 of 14 and 4 of 4 free throws. Wang Zhelin scored 17 points and 10 rebounds, bringing his average per game to 18 plus 10. As for Evans, this game only made 4 of 8 shots and scored 10 points, 4 assists and 1 rebound. The man who once stood shoulder to shoulder with rookie James is gone forever. In the fourth quarter, the Kings were unwilling to fight, and the Blazers maintained a 15-point advantage, and finally won 103-86. Episode 74, Harlem Combination. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. It was almost 11 o'clock after the game. After returning to the away hotel, Wang Zhelin, who was not very happy, came to the weight room for extra training. I thought that today's game would be able to confront my cousin and touch her head on, and it would be a test to see if there is any difference between myself and this new generation first center. The result is full of passion, but in exchange it is dull. It's better to take the time to practice strength while your body is still warm. But since the last time he encountered Howard's 95 upper body strength, the strength attribute that originally made Wang Zhelin complacent has become a bit insufficient. Although the lower body strength of 93 and the upper body strength of 90 are not the best in the league, they can at least rank in the top 3. But this is far from enough. Wang Zhelin has the innate skill of natural power. As long as he has enough time, he is fully capable of training all the upper and lower body strength to 99. Either don't do it first. The next game against the Lakers will be in mid-February, when Howard's lame backstroke will never be able to touch him again. Hey, who's practicing? When he came to the door of the strength room, Wang Zhelin was surprised when he heard the sound inside. Know that people cannot be compared with people. As far as Kobe is concerned, in the minds of coaches and players, the most amazing thing about this Black Mamba is not how hard he works and how self-disciplined he is. But after he was very self-disciplined and assiduously carried out various devil training, his body was able to hold it completely without breaking down. The training plans of many NBA players are formulated according to their own absorption and tolerance. After all, there are very few people who exercise the body to the extreme like Kobe and Westbrook. Take O'Neal as an example. There are always people ridiculing his training attitude, but few people think about it. If he weighed 300 pounds at the time and added Kobe's training mode, what would happen in the end? This person is 100% dead. As for Wang Zhelin, he is A-B hanging, so naturally he can't use common sense. Since getting the system, Wang Zhelin has gradually discovered a very magical thing. Whenever he inherits a new ability, as long as the ability value does not reach the upper limit, no matter how frantically he trains, there will be no physical damage. No amount of training will at most make him extremely tired, and he will be fine as long as he sleeps. But if it happens again, like the last time, the whole person fell into a state of fatigue because of drinking too much. In this case, there is no way to recover from sleep alone, and it has to rely on the body's self-recovery. This incident also surprised a well-informed trainer like Tom Bruce. After researching to no avail, he finally classified Wang Zhelin's ability as a talent similar to Kobe's physical endurance. After entering, the entire power room was already brightly lit. After taking off his upper body clothes, Wang Zhelin walked towards the source of the sound. After I came in, I found out that the person who trained was Lillard. Who? The people who were training inside also heard the voice behind them and suddenly turned their heads. It's him. It's him. Lillard didn't expect Wang Zhelin to come to practice. For a while, the two big shirtless men looked at me and I looked at you, and fell into an awkward atmosphere of big eyes and small eyes. Damien, you're here too. King, you are here. I didn't expect you to be here. I didn't expect you to come. After a few chats, the two continued their training. 50 minutes later, Lillard had completed his training task. Just as he was about to call Wang Zhelin with him, he found that the latter was still training at a high intensity. Isn't he tired? Lillard was puzzled. How long has it been since the match just now? Wang Zhelin's body can actually support him in this level of hard training. How did he do that? This is not scientific. When Wang Zhelin completed another set of weight-bearing squats, Lillard finally couldn't help reminding King, the training volume should still be moderate. Excessive training will easily break down the body. Wang Zhelin was stunned for a moment, and soon noticed the curiosity on the other side's face. It's okay, I'm used to this kind of training, I practice it every day during the off-season. What? Lillard nearly fell to the ground. Doesn't your body feel uncomfortable? Didn't your trainer persuade you? You. After his heart was hit hard, all the problems in his head shot out like a machine gun. They checked it a long time ago, and they didn't find anything serious. After training, I just need to go back to sleep and get up the next day. Listen, are you talking about people? What does it mean to sleep well? If you had the ability, I would have punched the old blacksmith on the west coast and kicked the Lebanon in the southeast long ago. Damien, are you okay? Seeing that Lillard's expression turned pale, Wang Zhelin thought he had overtrained. It's okay, I want to be quiet. Lillard staggered out of the power room and couldn't help but glance back at the door. Someone started the next round of training again. People are more popular than dead people. Ask yourself, Lillard's daily training volume is considered to be a very large type among NBA players. It's not like Wang Zhelin's life-threatening training is that he doesn't have to try it. Try it and lie down for several days. When I woke up, the tiredness of last night was swept away. It is only after 6 o'clock now, and there is still more than half a day before the team goes to the Toyota Stadium to compete with the Mosaic team. A sand sculpture netizen once said, lying iron is addictive, and you can't stop at the end. Now Wang Zhelin has this feeling. When he wakes up early in the morning and does not do some morning exercises, he will feel uncomfortable all day long. After eating breakfast, Wang Zhelin asked the hotel attendant to continue to open the door of the weight room. The training was not ended until all teammates gathered during lunch. Today the Lakers will usher in their first back-to-back game against the Houston Mosaic. The Mosaic management just signed the Thunder's super sixth man James Harden for 5 years and $78.5 million, and built the lineup with it as the core. In order to retain the Chinese atmosphere of Yao Ming's period as much as possible, also specially signed last season's Lin Madness and formed the Harlem combination with Harden. The Mosaic team's regular season opener has been played against the Detroit Pistons. Harden scored 35 points and 6 assists, and Jeremy Lin scored 12 points and 8 assists. Under the excellent performance of Harlem, Mosaic played a 10-0 climax in the final quarter, reversing the Pistons and getting a good start. After this battle, Harden also became the first player in NBA history to score at least 30 points and 12 assists in his debut after changing to a new team. The future first shooting guard proved himself worthy of the Hockey Stone evaluation by Hughes fans and the media. Episode 75, I am very angry now, February 6th, the opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. It was noon, and the three best-connected players, Wang Zhelin, Lillard, and Hickson, met to have lunch together. In fact, Wang Zhelin also invited Aldridge and Batum and others, but the former refused without hesitation, and Batum wanted to join his good friend Matthews. King, I heard that on the eve of the draft, Houston showed great sincerity to you. Why did you refuse? Yeah, I heard that the Houston Mosaic team has always been the home team in the hearts of Chinese players, and Yao has played there for 8 years. You will definitely get great cultivation when you go there. After the meal, the three of them leaned back on their chairs and talked about their opponents tonight. After chatting about Hickson, they talked about how much Houston wanted to get Wang Zhelin. Their boss is too stingy, I don't like it very much. Wang Zhelin did not explain much, and bluntly said that his confidant did not like Alexander. That's true. Alexander Olajuwon was unwilling to pay the luxury tax once during the 2 consecutive championships. It is indeed a bit too stingy. After listening to Lillard, he deeply agreed. There is a saying that is good, if you want to see if a boss cares about his team, the key is whether he is willing to spend money. Okay, let's not talk about this, now we play together, isn't it good? Wang Zhelin quickly pulled the topic away. At 3 p.m., pre-match tactical training will be conducted as usual. The strength of the Mosaic team lies in the outside attack, and Coach Terry conducts targeted training for the players. Judging from the preseason and the regular season 2 days ago, the Mosaic team is an offensive team, and their offensive arrow is the new core James Harden, who has star-level offensive firepower, but don't forget, the opposite there is only 1 star, and our team has 3. Speaking of this, Coach Terry stopped, and all his teammates turned their attention to Aldridge, Wang Zhelin, and Lillard, who were standing in the middle. At least in the Blazers team, other players completely believe that the 3 of Wang Zhelin have star-level strength. We are stronger than Mosaic on offense, and they can't compare on defense. As long as we strangle James Harden on the perimeter in this game, LaMarcus and the 3 of you suppress their scoring momentum, this victory is ours. Okay, let's start practicing. In the Toyota Center, the players of the 2 teams have come to the arena to warm up. Wang Zhelin glanced around the arena, determined to impress the Mosaic fans tonight. At this moment, Jeremy Lin, who is also yellow-skinned, came over. Li Hao, King. I'm Jamelin, nice to meet you. Originally, when Jeremy Lin came over, Wang Zhelin was still full of expectations. After all, this is the only player in the NBA who has the same yellow skin as him. As a result, he didn't expect it, and people pulled him back to reality as soon as he opened his mouth. This painful pronunciation is very similar to the embarrassing scene in which O'Neal greeted frantically at an event but was ignored. Hello Lin Crazy, your performance last year convinced many people and I was one of them. Although Jeremy Lin's Chinese was still not enough, Wang Zhelin still felt the excitement in the other party's tone. It is rare to see a yellow-skinned player, which is a great encouragement and recognition for Jeremy Lin, who is working alone in the league. As the two got closer, under the gaze of countless cameras and reporters, the only two yellow-skinned players in the NBA hugged each other. No way, fans love to see this touching picture. If nothing else, in another 3, 5 or 10 years, this photo will become an indelible memory in the hearts of a generation of fans. On the Lakers side, number 36 Wang Zhelin, number 12 Ade, number 88 Batum, number 2 Matthews, number 0 Lillard. On the Mosaic team's side, number 3 Omer Asik, number 25 Parsons, number 54 Patterson, number 13 Harden, number 7 Jeremy Lin. The strongest player is undoubtedly Harden with 87 points. Since Harden left the Thunder and Mosaic was supported as the core of the team, the whole person has been like a fish into the sea, and the basic and advanced data such as points, assists, and rebounds have reached career highs. This season, Harden will not only be selected to the All-Star team for the first time in his career, but will also be selected to the All-NBA third team after the regular season. Now Harden's strongest killer is the 90-point mid-range shot. Harden, who has not been trained by D'Antoni's magic ball theory, is still an out-and-out mid-range shooter. Of course, his three-pointers are not bad, with a full 82. Among the remaining 4 starters, Parkinson in 80, Jeremy Lin in 78, Asik in 76, and Patterson in 69. The Blazers' number 36 has the ball again. From the beginning of the preseason to the present, this number 36 player has only lost to Dwight Howard in the jump ball link. He is really a young man with no limits. In the passionate commentary of the Toyota Center commentator, the game between the home team and the Trailblazers has begun. In the scrimmage, Wang Zhelin easily beat Asik. Asik is a defensive white center with a high internal defense attribute of 89, the second highest player Wang Zhelin has ever seen except Howard. However, Asik, who is 213 centimeters tall and weighs 255 pounds, is better at using his mobility, size and consciousness to defend, and his physical fitness has become a limit for him to become a super defender of 90+. As soon as the game started, Wang Zhelin showed a very strong desire to attack. As soon as Lillard came in possession of the ball, he opened his hand for the ball. When Ada on the other side was about to ask, he found that Wang Zhelin had taken a step ahead of him, and was slightly taken aback, but he quickly continued to bury his head and move. After receiving the ball, Wang Zhelin slammed the ball backwards. Although Asker behind him had already tried his best to push forward, but the power levels of the two were obviously not in the same dimension. Lost focus. Wang Zhelin's center of gravity suddenly tilted to the left, and with a hard push on his back, Asker stumbled and nearly fell to the ground, then jumped high and scored a dunk with both hands. Ah. You're such a jerk, come and guard me. Wang Zhelin's sudden outburst caught Asik by surprise, but the latter reacted quickly, and their heads froze together. Although Asik has a relatively mediocre physical quality, he has tenaciously become a first-class defensive insider that is rare in the league. He is also a ruthless man on the court, and his temper is even better. Wang Zhelin and Asik interacted enthusiastically at the beginning, so scared that the teammates on both sides rushed up and pulled the two away. Fortunately, the conflict happened suddenly and ended very quickly. After several hesitations, the referee still did not give a penalty and signaled the game to continue. It was undoubtedly a good shot just now. For such a trivial matter, it would affect the smoothness of the game, which was not in line with the idea of the Jew. Besides, young people who are still not angry, and trash talk has always been the default existence of the NBA. If you can't stand it, go back, and if you can't respond, you can only blame yourself for being inferior to others. It's pointless to shout blindly. Although I said before the game to strengthen the offense, this kid is a little too angry today. Coach Terry on the sidelines saw this scene and habitually touched his chin with his hand. Not only him, many people can see that Wang Zhelin is playing with anger today. Is the newcomer's temper so aggressive recently? Yao's fellow is too fierce. Outside, Harden watched his teammates being ravaged on the inside, looked at Wang Zhelin, his eyelids couldn't help jumping. Forget it, let's play conservatively in this game, it's best not to enter if you can't get inside. As if recalling some bad memory, Harden felt a burning pain in his temple. Man, you fought a little hard today. During the return to defense, Lillard was also frightened by Wang Zhelin's violent play today. Pass the ball over in a while, I'm very angry now. Wang Zhelin replied without looking back. Episode 76, Harden before pressing the defense. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. When it was time for the Mosaic team to attack, Jeremy Lin quickly passed the ball to James Harden after half court. Seeing this scene, Wang Zhelin understood that Jeremy Lin was just as unhappy in Mosaic as in his previous life. Jeremy Lin and Harden's playstyle is destined to be ball-handling players, and the two cannot coexist at all, which requires one party to make sacrifices. Obviously, it was Jeremy Lin, the weaker side, who was first arranged to make sacrifices by the coaching staff. As soon as Harden came up, he signaled his teammates to pull away as in the previous game. Labor and management want singles. Leaving the Thunder, Harden is like a wild horse, no one can restrain his scoring instinct, and he is enjoying his time in Houston. Harden, as Mosaic's offensive arrow, is mainly staring at the Blazers' perimeter striker Batum. Facing Batum's long wingspan and fierce eyes, Harden felt a lot of pressure, but it quickly turned into motivation. Although he played in a rotation-centric role in the first few years of the Thunder, as the future #1 shooting back in the league, Harden's offensive skills have already been honed. I saw that he dribbled the ball quickly under the crotch, and watched the direction of the players on both sides and the changes of the defenders. Suddenly, he accelerated to the left and forced Batum to retreat. 2 points shot. Shoo. Compared with the 3-point step back, to a certain extent, the 2-point step back is actually more unpredictable and hard to prevent. Harden's trump card right now is his 2-point step back and his incredible body at the 2. Harden, who was born as the 3rd overall pick, has even better rookie physical test data than his second brother, Westbrook. However, due to some reasons in the later period, his style of play is more and more inclined to the floor flow, which makes people ignore his explosive performance. Physical fitness. James Harden. A beautiful step back and 2 points, our new leader quickly responded to the other side, and the Aerospace City will usher in another recovery. This time, Harden's ability to play singles without a solution in the future is faintly revealed. After the Mosaic team scored, the Blazers quickly launched a counterattack. Lillard once again handed the ball to Wang Zhelin, who squeezed into the 3-second zone, but this time he did not choose to continue to be strong inside, but as a transition, he quickly passed the ball to Matthews, who was emptied on the bottom line. Harden on the other side actively made up for the defense. Although he didn't cover it, he still gave some defensive interference. Sure enough, Matthews had to adjust his posture slightly at the last moment of the shot, and the whole movement became unsmooth. Lack of fluidity means rhythm chaos, and the result is a hard shot. Mine. Asic stared at the rebounding ball in the sky, and his legs jumped straight up. A long arm emerged, grabbed the rebound in front of Asic, and stuffed it back into the basket. Sorry, it's mine. Wang Zhelin looked down at Asic and said with a light smile. 3rd rebound. Humph. The expression of Asic, who was not as skilled as others, instantly turned gloomy. He snorted and passed Wang Zhelin, and quickly walked over to pick up the ball. I deducted 2 just now, and then Wang Zhelin's anger subsided a lot, and he didn't bother anymore. It's just that when he returned to defense, his surprised eyes were fixed on Harden on the other side. I really didn't expect to see Dengue, who was willing to work hard for the bad job of defense before being broken by Kardashian. What a good child, how did he become like that? The rhythm of the game between the two sides was fast. There are actually a few things that Wang Zhelin has to do on the court. First, to cover and catch the ball for his teammates. Second, to defend the basket well. Third, to strengthen his own basket attack when he has the opportunity. By the middle of the second quarter, the Trailblazers' advantage had grown like a snowball, and the difference was gradually widened, and the two sides were tied at 35-27. Wang Zhelin has played continuously for 16 minutes without rest. This is the longest protracted battle he has played since he joined the NBA. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 fouls. This is the data that Wang Zhelin handed over in the quarter and a half of this game, and it has caught up with the efficiency of the previous game. Today he is in exceptional form, and at the same time his personal desire to perform is also extremely strong. No one knows why, but people just need to know that Wang Zhelin has handed over an excellent transcript, and that's enough. As for those 2 fouls? Come on, it's too trivial in front of that string of data. Young people always make mistakes, don't they? They still have time to change and improve. Wang, you played really well today. At a certain moment, I even vaguely saw the style of the future league's #1 center. On the bench, Coach Terry patted Wang Zhelin on the shoulder with admiration in his eyes. Who? After breathing heavily, Wang Zhelin wiped his sweat, raised his head and said, "Thank you for your compliment, sir, but I think I can do better." Ha ha ha, it's a good thing to be motivated, but your physical strength is already a little lacking. What you have to do now is to trust your teammates. In the third quarter, I will let you continue to play time, okay? Okay. Of course, Wang Zhelin knew that the coach was doing it for his own good, so he quickly put on the thermal clothes. After the Blazers ended Wang Zhelin due to physical problems, the inside combination was replaced by Aldridge and Hickson, who were commonly used last season. Since most of the offensive power was in the hands of Wang Zhelin and Lillard in the first quarter, Aldridge played very leisurely, and now he is still very strong. Although there is one less Tiger general, there is still a certain overall strength gap between the Mosaic and the Blazers. The team management created for Harden may have the strength to enter the playoffs, but it cannot go further. The game continues, and the Blazers' offense on the field is mainly completed by the pair of inside and outside guns of Aldridge and Lillard. Mosaic's inside duo, whether it's Parsons or Asik, are not Aldridge's opponents. In my impression, Aldridge performed at the peak of the playoffs, and the background board was a Mosaic. As for Jeremy Lin, he struggled with Lillard on the defensive end, but in the end it was too far behind. The only advantage they had was Harden. No matter what it is, it will become weak with too much use. When Mosaic's attack was all relying on the beard, his physical strength also declined very quickly, and his efficiency gradually declined. At present, Harden has not yet encountered the pressing defense of Kardashian. He just came to Aerospace City. He is full of beautiful vision and high fighting spirit for the future of himself and the team, and he has always longed to become an idol in his heart. A superstar with both offense and defense like Kobe Bryant. Therefore, Harden not only has to do a good job of offense in this game, but also the outside defense gate in the team's defensive system. The defensive skills he learned when he was the sixth man in the Thunder not only didn't get lost, but instead tended to strengthen. After the start of the third quarter, it was affected by physical strength. Mosaic's main players played badly. Harden made 2 of 6, Parsons made 1 of 3, and Jeremy Lin made 0 of 2. On the other hand, the performance of Asik in the interior was acceptable. He scored 6 points for multiple tip-ups in the interior, and only managed to get 19 points together with the substitute. According to the current rhythm of the NBA game, most teams score about 30 points in a single quarter, and about 25 points are called normal levels. When the efficiency is below 20, it can be called difficult to score. The Houston Mosaic is more of an offensive team. Their average score is around 26 or 7 per game. However, they performed so badly in the third quarter. The low offensive efficiency is evident. Episode 77, 5-game winning streak. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. After the 3 quarters, 65-77, Mosaic 12 points, the point difference behind the Trailblazers. In the home locker room, Harden's face was very ugly. In the last game, he just won applause with his 37+12+6 performance. In this game, he originally wanted to win 2 consecutive victories in one go. Unexpectedly, after only 3 quarters, the team was beaten. In his expectation, even if he wants to lose, he will lose to strong teams such as the Grizzlies, Spurs, and Lakers. Are the Trailblazers that strong? They didn't seem to make the playoffs last season. Harden's anger was unbearable, and his face was full of doubts. On the other hand, the Blazers are all happy. Wang, you will let me go and attack the inside line in a while. Asik has already gone down to rest. This is a great opportunity to show yourself. I'm setting up a few simple tactics now, and everyone will start the offensive in a while, and expand the score to 20 points as soon as possible. Don't leave the opponent a chance. Maybe later generations will always criticize Coach Terry for his lack of adaptability on the spot, his inflexible style of play, and his not doing a good enough defensive end. But since he can serve as an offensive assistant for a championship team, at least on the offensive end, he is not much worse than any famous coach in the league, and he is also very good at arranging players' offensive mobilization. At the beginning of the last quarter, the two sides began to adopt an attack-to-attack style of play. Mosaic was out of nowhere and could only break the boat in this way. The Trailblazers, as the leading party, would not be afraid of Mosaic's attack. Since you guys want to play offense with us, it's better than anyone else. Mosaic's current ball rights are basically handed over to Harden, and it is up to him to decide whether it is a single play or an organization. Obviously, Harden is still single-mindedly trying to end the fight on his own like the idol Kobe Bryant. After a quick feint, he threw off the defender and went to the basket. Facing Wang Zhelin, who was making up the defense, he did not choose to push hard, but jumped to the left to make an emergency stop. Duong. Harden's physical fitness, who has to take into account both offense and defense, has been slowly declining. He has not rested much since the beginning of the game, and his physical fitness at this time can no longer maintain an efficient offense. Hateful. With an unwilling roar, Harden jumped up quickly as soon as he landed, and his hands were about to touch the basketball. Wang Zhelin jumped out again, destroying Harden's second attack plan. The 8th rebound of this game is in place. I saw him dial the ball in the air to Lillard, who gave the ball to Hickson with a long pass and made the layup. 65-79. Less than half a minute into the fourth quarter, Mosaic's inside line fell again. Give up the beard, from the beginning of this game, you are doomed to lose. Wang Zhelin raised his eyes and looked at Harden, who was blowing his beard, and said coldly. But Harden ran back to his own half to catch the ball as if he didn't hear it. As time passed, Mosaic's offense fell into a stagnant state again, and Harden refused to admit defeat. He could only watch the score gradually open. Looking at the yellow-skinned giant who asked for anything in the interior, Harden suddenly understood how the answer and OK combination felt after the battle of the century. I need help. I hate to fail. I long for a giant. This is Harden's intense desire after the game is over. 77-112. The Blazers beat Mosaic by as many as 35 points at Toyota Center, which will be a direct and indelible scar of Harden's career in Houston. Unless one day, Harden can also give the Blazers a heavy response at the Rose Garden Arena. Wang Zhelin scored 37 points, 15 rebounds and 3 blocks in this game. The 3 data are career highs. This is a top-level data that only a supercenter can get. With 20 points in the final quarter, Wang Zhelin broke a number of official records for the team and the NBA. He couldn't help but look forward to another surge in fan value. At the press conference that night, neither Aldridge nor Lillard were present. Only Coach Terry brought Wang Zhelin to defend against long guns and flash bombs. Fortunately, Wang Zhelin during the CBA period was treated like a superstar. During the Olympic Games, he had to face nearly 100 reporters at every turn. His complexion also changed from red to purple at the beginning, then to black, and finally became flat. At the same time, the public relations lady of the Blazers is not a dry cook, and has prepared various plans for the players to deal with the media's difficulties early in the morning. This is the same as high school mathematics. As long as you master the basic knowledge and some common routines, it cannot guarantee that you will pass the test above 120 and 130, but at least a passing level of 90 is more than enough. Wang, you performed so well on the court today, is there any reason for it? Can you tell us more about it? This is where my senior Yao Ming used to play. As soon as I came to the Toyota Center, I felt the red breath he left here. These factors made me very excited to prove my strength in front of him. Okay, I succeeded. This kind of nonsense Wang Zhelin can pull out with his eyes closed, and it is a familiar tribute. Is it just pure excitement? What you showed at the opening was not just a description of excitement. These uncrowned kings are notorious elites. As long as there is something wrong, they will instantly turn into wolves and leopards, rushing up to the smell of blood. Cough cough, basketball is a sport, and the young people on the court are also impulsive. Sometimes they are too excited, which is not unacceptable. Coach Terry, who was beside him, was worried that Wang Zhelin would be able to speak, so he practiced Tai Chi with a smile. 37+15. Celestial teenagers are aiming for the first rookie. Bleachers, Hao Yue is still a meteor in the sky, and he still has a long way to go before he can become king in the center position. TNT, shocked, the biggest contributor to the Trailblazers' winning streak is not the team leader. ESPN, early in the morning of the second day, after reading the headlines of major media, Wang Zhelin finally understood why so many people were disgusted by ESPN. There's really no lower limit, it's just nothing to look for, and if there is no topic, you have to work hard to create a topic. On the contrary, TNT's statement was more pertinent. Wang Zhelin knew very well that he was still a little short of the position of the first center. In the next few days, thanks to the convenience of the schedule, the opponents were very weak. The Blazers defeated the Suns and the Timberwolves successively. In the 2012-13 regular season, the Trailblazers played a 5-game winning streak at the beginning of the regular season, and quietly came to the top of the league. The sudden emergence of Portland has caused an uproar across the league. The most surprising is undoubtedly the 5 games. The Blazers averaged a margin of 11 points, they won 2 easily. Everyone knows that in these 5 games for the Blazers, the opponents they encountered were either rebuilding or problems within the team. For example, the Lakers' F4, which was originally regarded as a galactic battleship, shocked everyone's attention with a wave of 3 consecutive kneels at the beginning, and has only won 2 games in 5 games so far. In the 2 wins, one is the Detroit Pistons, which is still in the rebuilding period. Maybe it's because of a change of head coach. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. Among the remaining opponents, as long as they have a little strength, such as the Clippers and Jazz, the Lakers all lost. The current Lakers have fallen from the high altar, and there is no invincible trend in the offseason. If the Lakers, who are fairly strong among the 5 teams that the Blazers encountered, are eliminated, then almost all of the remaining teams are fishbelly teams, and none of them made the playoffs last season. But they are an NBA-level team after all, losing more than 10 points to the Trailblazers in every game. From this, it can be seen from the side that Portland's Youth Army really has something this season. Episode 78, The Bet of the TNT Group. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. During the 5-game winning streak, Wang Zhelin averaged 21.4 points and 11 rebounds per game, becoming the team's rebounding and scoring champion. Thanks to the 37 points and 15 rebounds in the Mosaic game, his average points per game successfully exceeded 20+, surpassing Aldridge's average of 20.5 points per game and becoming the first in the team. The rest of the teammates, Aldridge averaged 20.5 points, 8.7 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and as a shooting insider, the shooting rate was steadily over 50%. Lillard scored 17.6 points and 8 assists, and the score was not as high as the 19 points in his previous life, and the number of shots was 2 less, but the number of assists was 1.5 more than the average of 6.5 in his previous life. Batum averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists per game, Matthews scored 14 points, 2 rebounds and 2 assists per game, and Hickson, the core substitute, also averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds per game. There are 6 players in a team averaging double figures, 2 of them are 20+, and all the main players are so young. This is what makes other strong teams most jealous. On the night of the game with the Timberwolves, Blazers plus 5 consecutive victories once again detonated the American media and became a hot word on the internet. People are talking about it. How long will the Blazers' winning streak last? How about the gold content of 5 consecutive victories? Will the Blazers be the next Thunder? All kinds of heated discussions have suppressed the previous news of the Lakers' 3-game losing streak. Los Angeles people applauded with tears. At 10 o'clock in the morning on the 9th, TNT TV launched a special program counting the Union Youth Army. Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Reggie Miller are the hosts of the show. After the recording began, O'Neal made no secret of his appreciation for Wang Zhelin, and called Wang Zhelin's nickname King many times to show his love for this junior. King is undoubtedly the strongest traditional center of the new generation. Let's look at the performance of the Olympic Games and the regular season. No matter what opponent he faces, he can achieve very good statistics. The statistics will not lie, we should admit it. He's great. After he retired, the only traditional center that O'Neal recognized in his heart was Yao Ming, and he didn't care about that happy beast. Ding Tian is a super blue-collar worker who has no technical connotation at all, and is superhuman. When Yao Ming retired, O'Neal originally thought that the league had no soil for a traditional center, but he didn't expect a Yao Ming fellow to carry the banner of a traditional center. Especially when O'Neal often sees Wang Zhelin finishing dunks under the basket, for some reason, he always feels very kind in his heart, and he thinks of his glorious years. When people are old, they like to miss the past, and at the same time, they hope to find sustenance from young people. There are people who sing red faces, and naturally there are people who sing black faces. In this case, the host must not unite the front, otherwise how can conflicts arise? How did the ratings go up? Money, how can he run into his pocket obediently? The blackface candidate, of course, is Charles Barkley, a regular. Shaquille, I admit that what you call Wang is a young center with great potential, but I think the data he has played so far and the team's record have a lot of water. As soon as O'Neal finished speaking, Barkley immediately fired. Look at the data on the big screen. The opponents they encountered are seriously lacking in gold content. I have reason to believe that the Blazers' 5-game winning streak has an element of luck in it. Between the words, a data comparison appeared on the big screen behind the 4, which was the opponent the Blazers encountered in 5 games. Then Wang also scored a double-double of 18 points and 11 rebounds in the face of Dwight. You must know that Dwight is the current number 1 center in the league, and he is good at defense. You can't question the gold content. On Barkley's left, his 10,000-year-old partner was sure that Smith jumped out at the right time to refute him. It's still the first center in the league, that's all for such an era, if it was back then. O'Neal, on the far right, showed a look of disdain after hearing Kenny Smith's comments on Howard. This time, Barkley rarely stood in line with the big fat man he hated the most, and nodded noncommittally. But he quickly continued to argue with his own evidence. Don't talk about it, where did Howard have defense in that game? let's see what the high-level stats are talking about. His defensive efficiency in that game was not only far inferior to that of the Magic period, but his turnover rate was even worse. Haha, our Mr. Warcraft seems to have forgotten his housekeeping skills and switched to attacking. Reggie Miller, who had been silent for a long time, couldn't help but smile. He doesn't have that talent. O'Neal made another shot. In a large villa in Los Angeles, a certain devilish muscular man smashed his mobile phone at the TV, directly smashing a big hole. Enough, a fat man, in addition to a regular season MVP, 3 AMVPs, a 3-peat and a 3PF MVP, what else do you have to be arrogant? As for scolding me like that? Really? For some reason, someone's voice got smaller and smaller. On the other hand, on TNT TV, the heated discussion about the Trailblazers' 5-game winning streak continues. At this time, O'Neal was already lying on Barkley's body, looking like a physical excess. Enough, Shaquille. Barkley below suddenly roared, scaring O'Neal to jump up quickly. This guy isn't really ready to do it, is he? Doesn't he know it's just a show effect? Barkley was also a well-known villain in the league back then, and O'Neal, who described himself as a gentleman, didn't think he could outplay the opponent. Although he, like Kobe, never hesitates in fighting, but well. After standing up and tidying up his clothes, he looked at the big fat man beside him, and thought about the money he was about to get. Barkley loosened his right hand, which was clenched into a fist. Since neither of you can convince the other, why don't I give you some advice? Kenneth Meath continued after seeing the two Bear children return to normal. First of all, we must admit that the Blazers' schedule at the beginning of the season is indeed favorable. You're okay with that, Shaquille? No. O'Neal finished sucking the bottle of oral liquid in front of him and nodded. The Blazers' next 5 games, against the Thunder, Mavericks, Clippers, Spurs, and Eagles, are well-deserved playoff-level teams, and even have championship seeds. Why don't we take the next 5 games? Let's bet the game. What? Barkley, who was on the side, heard the word bet and suddenly remembered some unfriendly memories. I'm not participating. The two sides of the bet are you and Shaquille, how about it? Any ideas? No, I don't want this guy to kiss my ass. Before Barkley said anything, O'Neal quickly clapped the table to refuse, and showed a look of do not suffer labor. This hasn't even started yet, why do you think you're sure to win, how can you blow it like that? Barkley, who didn't want to go to this muddy water again, heard O'Neal's words and immediately refused. I didn't say that I had to kiss the butt. This time, the bet is whether the Trailblazers can win more than 50% of the next 5 games. The two of you decide the bet yourself. After speaking, Kenny Smith crossed Erlang's legs and watched O'Neal and Barkley's reactions. So did Reggie Miller on the side. Two sinister old guys firmly believe that O'Neal and Barkley, the old foes, will definitely gamble. Now, what they desperately want to know is what the stakes will be. Episode 79, Top Rookie List, 6/6. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. It didn't take long for Barkley to be heartbroken, and he was the first to say, Shaquille, didn't you always say that you have a strong talent for music and dancing? So what? Then the bet this time is, the loser will sing and pole dance on TNT. Hearing Barkley's action, the photographer, who was carrying the camera, couldn't help but his heart skipped a beat and his hand almost slipped. This bee is too cruel. Fucker. After listening, O'Neal's eyelids twitched. But at this time, he knew that he must not back down, otherwise, where would the effect of the show come from? Okay, then I'll bet the Blazers' winning rate can exceed 50% for me, how about you? I bet they won't make it. Barkley responded without hesitation. Ahem, guys, I think, you, a little too big, why don't you think about it again? Reggie Miller frantically covered his mouth and controlled his bright smile. Me too. Kenneth Mize on the other side raised his right hand in agreement. Come on, laugh if you want, no one will eat you. O'Neal folded his hands and said indifferently. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha, I really didn't expect the two of them to dare to play like this, it made me laugh to death, ha ha ha. It's the same, there is a good show at the end of the month. Kenny Smith and Reggie Miller instantly fell to the ground, laughing exaggeratedly. Amid laughter, this special program was officially recorded. At home in Portland, Wang Zhelin, who had watched a whole episode of the show, had only 3 words in his mind. The city will play. One is a fat man who weighs nearly 400 pounds, and the other is similar, starting with 300 pounds. No matter who dances pole dancing, this is a great thrill for those who watch it. But why am I so excited? There are even so many small expectations in my heart. Such a wild and explosive bet successfully raised TNT's ratings today, and the TV station executives were overjoyed, and specially sent a big red envelope to the 4 O'Neal. And he also promised on the spot that at the end of the month, no matter who fulfills the bet, he will give the loser another super big red envelope. The ratings are so high just after the bet is set, and when the pole dance is performed, it will not take off. O'Neal x Barkley, I can't thank you enough. At 5 p.m., when Wang Zhelin returned home from the training manager, he had just taken a shower and was about to eat when Zhou Yang rushed in. Zhelin, good news, good news. Uncle Joe, how did you get here? What good news makes you so excited? Looking at Zhou Yang, who was out of breath, Wang Zhelin was a little puzzled, and subconsciously handed out the skim milk he had drank 2 mouthfuls in his hand. After gasping for a while, Zhou Yang complained after a mouthful of milk, "It's all your fault for not answering the phone, so I went to the training hall first, and I heard from the guard that you came back and ran back in a hurry." Uncle Joe, it's not like you don't know, my phone is usually turned off when I'm training. After turning on the mobile phone on the coffee table, I saw 7 or 8 missed calls displayed on the screen above. By the way, don't you have a car? The car had a flat tire on the way. Fortunately, the Rose Garden is not far from you. At the beginning, this location was not chosen in vain. In a black line, forget it, it's just an exercise, take a look at this. I saw Zhou Yang took out a fax from his briefcase and handed it to Wang Zhelin. Antez sneaker advertisement, shoot. Wang Zhelin looked at it and asked inexplicably, but I'm going to play Thunder tomorrow night. How can I have time to shoot commercials? I can't fly directly to China, right? Don't you know that Portland is the world-famous sneaker mecca? Nike and Adidas not only have thousands of employees here, but even the headquarters of our domestic brand Li Ning moved to Portland in 2007. Through Zhou Yang's explanation, Wang Zhelin learned that Anta also has a branch here. It is expected that the headquarters will be located in Portland in a few years, so he does not need to fly back to China at all. Well, I am ignorant. I thought it had only one nickname, Tearing. By the way, congratulations on reaching the top of the new rookie list. Zhou Yang suddenly broke the news, but he unexpectedly didn't hear the latter's thank you. I'm number 1 on the rookie list? You didn't watch the news, did you? Yes. Well, this is the NBA rookie rankings, the latest update just updated at 2:30, you surpassed Anthony Davis and Lillard, and finally you are no longer the third in 10,000 years. Since the opening ceremony of the preseason on Monday, October 8th, the NBA has released the first rookie rankings, and it is now the 6th. In the previous 5 rookie rankings, Lillard ranked first with 18 points and 7.2 assists per game, Anthony Davis ranked second with 16 points, 8 rebounds and 2 blocks, and the third was Wang Zhelin's 16-9 rebounds. Although Wang Zhelin's performance is not inferior to Anthony Davis, and the team's record is better, but in the latest issue, NBA officials will discard preseason data and use regular season data to measure rookie performance. Therefore, relying on the data of 21.4 points and 11 rebounds per game in these 5 regular season games, Wang Zhelin successfully achieved his first domination. The second place is Lillard, who averaged 17.6 points and 8.4 assists per game, and the third is Anthony Davis. It is worth mentioning that in the first regular season of his career, Davis faced the Spurs led by Tim. In the first game, Old Rogue number 21 scored 21 points and 7 rebounds, leading the Pelicans to lose only 5 points in 94-99. In this battle, Davis can be said to have successfully won Duncan and the Spurs. It's a pity that after one game of prestige, he was injured gorgeously in the second game. He didn't play in the next game against the Bulls 76ers. He didn't return until the game against the Bobcats last night, and he scored 21 points and 11 points as soon as he returned. With 5 rebounds and 5 blocks, he returned to the top of the rookie list. Many fans even feel sorry for him. If it weren't for the accidental injury, maybe Davis would now dominate the list. Of course, this is only a small part of the voice, most people's eyes are bright, and they all recognize Wang Zhelin's 20+10 data. The 20+10 data of inside players, not to mention this year's rookies, can be counted even in NBA history. At least since the new century, only 2 rookies have made their debut with 20+10 data. One of them is Blake Griffin, who scored 22.5 points, 12.1 rebounds and 3.8 assists, and is now one of the most popular stars in the league. Another famous captain, Elton Brandon, scored 20.1 points plus 10 rebounds plus 1.9 blocks. They all played with the Clippers. Pushing up, there were only 3 rookies who could hold this number in the 1990s. 1997 number 21 rookie Tim Duncan averaged 21.1 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game. Shaquille O'Neal, 23.4 points, 13.9 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks. Alonzo Mourning, the second-placed kidney fighter in the same session, 21 points, 10.3 rebounds and 1 block. In the past 2 decades, all the inside players who have obtained this kind of data are the core of the team, and the lower limit is the star of the all-star level. Now, Wang Zhelin has the hope of becoming the third player since the 21st century to average 20 plus 10 per game, but I don't know if he can keep it. Episode 80, The Battle of the Strongest Youth Army. The opening of the NBA draws the Twilight O'Neal. At 7 p.m., Wang Zhelin came to the team's training arena again for shooting training. Anyway, public resources do not spend their own money, and they do not need to be used in vain. Johnny, the 51-year-old black uncle at the door, was no stranger to Wang Zhelin's daily practice, and greeted him warmly. "Wang, come to practice again, you Chinese players are really working hard." "Ha ha ha, Uncle Johnny, I said earlier that you should give me a key, so that you can go home early with Aunt Sophia, and I promise to close the door for you after training." Wang Zhelin responded with a smile. A team in the NBA is made up of many people. In addition to the players and coaching staff, security guards are people who are easily overlooked. In fact, their loyalty is not inferior to that of most fans, and even some elderly security guards have regarded the team as their second home, and they also look forward to the team getting better. "Forget it, it's my job, and I've been doing it for 22 years, Sophia and the kids are used to it." Wang Zhelin's words turned Johnny into an old stubborn in an instant, and refused with a serious look. "Okay, then I'll go first, see you later. Practice hard and pay attention to your body. I really hope you can bring a second championship to Portland. The last time I saw the championship team swim in the city was 35 years ago. At that time, I didn't seem to be your age. Don't worry, that day will come." Wang Zhelin raised his right hand and waved, and went in without looking back. Half an hour later, Lillard also came to the gate of the arena. "Uncle Johnny, is King here yet?" "Oh, Damien, the king has been here for half an hour." Uncle Johnny, who was leaning on the chair, took off his hat and replied lazily. "Understood." Lillard pushed open the door quickly, and kept mumbling, "That stinky boy lied to me again. He promised to gather at the door at 7:30, but he came so early. Hey, it's great to be young. Portland's second championship trophy, maybe it's really a drama." After watching Lillard enter, Johnny covered his head with his hat again, and hummed an unnamed ditty. After the Blazers played several away games, it was finally their turn to play at home. This time the opponent was the Goose City Thunder, the runner-up last season. While the coaches on both sides handed in the starting rosters, the players from both sides also came to the court to warm up. As the Thunder and Trailblazers, the two youth guards with the most potential currently recognized, this game naturally attracted a lot of attention from the media and scouts from various teams. For this so-called battle of the strongest youth army, TNT TV also gave face, sending their ace commentator combination Charles Barkley and Kenneth Mize. The duo has a funny and humorous commentary style and is highly respected by fans. Especially when Barkley bet that Yao Ming could not score 19 points in a single game in his rookie season, or he would kiss Smith's ass. As a result, Yao Ming successfully scored more than 19 points. According to the bet, Barkley really kissed the donkey with the same name as Kenny Smith in the live broadcast room. "Hey baby, look, Yao's fellow has appeared." Smith happily kicked Charles Barkley after seeing Wang Zhelin play. "I saw it earlier, his performance is much better than Yao's." Buckley was straightening his tie, as if there was a beauty in it that was attracting him. "Then you still remember. Stop, let's take a look at the starting lineups of both sides first." Barkley quickly took his hand from his tie and swishly picked up the file in front of him. This action made everyone watching the live broadcast smile knowingly, but no one paid any attention to the blunt way of changing the subject. On the field, two players came to the vicinity of the center circle. "Sergi, long time no see." "It's the same for you, Wang, you've made a big name recently." The one-sided relationship of the Olympic Games, although Wang Zhelin and Ibaka are not friends, they can barely be said to be acquaintances. This is the first time they meet in the NBA, and they will inevitably have a wave of hugs and kills. That said, fans love watching this. The victory in this game is still mine. Ibaka understands the principle of bowing first and then soldiers. As soon as the last link is over, it's time to fire the cannons. "Hee, that's not necessarily true, this time my teammates are not bad." During the conversation, Wang Zhelin still kept his unchanging smile. "See you at the game." Ibaka turned and walked towards his teammate. Looking at Ibaka's back, Wang Zhelin's smile disappeared instantly, and his face turned serious. He had just checked the entire strength of the Thunder team, and he was quite shocked. Durant, who has a 95 supergiant score, has an astonishing 94 mid-range shots, 87 long shots, 92 layups, 83 dunks, etc. in his offensive attributes. Steals are also over 70 plus. It is said that LeBron James is one of the most comprehensive players in NBA history. In fact, Durant can also be called comprehensive. None of the 23 individual ability values is lower than 65. Obviously, this is a Du Xiaoshui who has initially reached the peak of his career, and Wang Zhelin is sure that Durant has not reached the peak at this time, and he will be stronger in the future. This can be seen from his 3 purple and 2 yellow talent and skill configuration, almost all of which are related to shooting. The purple diamond sharpshooter, the fast shooter, and the overlord of the penalty area are all enhanced shooting abilities, as well as gold-level finishers and big hearts. At the same time, Westbrook's score also has a terrible 91. Westbrook's strength has broken through to a superstar level, which Wang Zhelin never expected, and this guy's attributes related to attacking the frame are infinitely close to max. Its talent skill configuration is 3 yellow and 1 purple, and the talent skill of the purple diamond level is the Dunk Tenzuan. You must know that Wang Zhelin's is only gold now. If he wants to be promoted to the purple diamond level, he needs 50 million fans. In addition, there are 3 gold-level talent skills: Terminator, Breakthrough Elite, and Physical Fitness Expert. Plus 82's Crooked Handle Machine Gun Kevin Martin, 81's Super Defensive Gay Ibaka, 71's Pure Defensive Insider Kendrick Perkins. This game is hard. In the live broadcast room, Barkley yelled as if he had discovered something extraordinary. Oh my Kenny, I just found out that the Blazers' recent 5-game winning streak was their best start to the new century, surpassing the 99-00 season's 4-game winning streak, second only to team history. The second is the 8-game winning streak in the 1992-93 season and the 11-game winning streak in the 1999-91 season. Really, let me see, Kenneth Mize tacitly cooperated with Barkley's performance and exclaimed when he took the report. It's true, so the Blazers have made a start that has not been seen in 30 years. It seems that other strong teams in the league should pay more attention, and a new star is rising. In the Thunder's locker room, after hearing the exaggerated tone of Barkley and Kenneth Mize, Du Xiaoshui, who was using his mobile phone to browse the website, said with a disdainful face, "This kind of strange little record is also worth shouting. It's ridiculous. If you want to brag, B should also brag about me, the youngest scoring champion in history, okay? KD, that, in fact, our team's best start to the season was also 5 consecutive victories, or it was just the one you led us to play last season, haven't you forgotten?" Westbrook on the side saw that Durant was in a good mood, and it was rare that he didn't drop his phone, so he reminded very warmly. Oh, isn't it? In this way, this record is really rare. Durant laughed a little embarrassedly. Ibaka, who was tying his shoelaces on the side, didn't know why, and laughed along with him. Unexpectedly, this laugh suddenly attracted the attention of the surrounding teammates. The big guys couldn't even touch their heads, but seeing that the eldest and third brothers were laughing, the others quickly responded. The Thunder team's locker room turned into a sea of laughter for a while, leaving Westbrook staring at the big round eyes, stunned on the spot, neither standing nor sitting. Who I am? Where am I?